si posso buttare.
Si dispera Irene, piange, urla. Quella casa di Niscemi, la sua casa, non potrà più entrare.
La mia casa!
Lei e il marito Roberto sono riusciti a raccogliere in fretta poche cose.
Niscemi in Italy, guys, I can't say landslide, horror, nightmare. The whole town, it's around the whole town where it is collapsing. It's a rotational landslide and it's expanding. It's expanding to the north. They have now a danger zone that is almost 500 feet inland, and it's collapsing because that kind of landslide, it's not at the front of the cliff only where you see it collapse, this beige ring that you see there. It goes way deeper beyond where the layers inside the town. If the cliff is here inside the town, it's already starting. So today I want to give you these updates. There's interesting images from the civil protection that is on site, drilling and conducting and looking at what is happening. But I also want to talk about the personal aspect, interviews with locals, and one of the locals is actually watching my videos and amazingly wrote me a comment talking about the situation. So I want to read that comment to you guys, because I think it's not only the geology that we want to talk about and the situation of the town as a whole, the personal aspects of people that are losing everything there, and the talks to abandon the whole town. They're also there, and they're increasing, and they are becoming a reality there. And if you look at the aerial images, this is quite a large town. So we already have homes hanging on the cliffs, these crazy images with cars hanging over the cliff and cars falling down and landing at the bottom there. So let's start first with what is going on right now. How has this developed? Because it is a developing landslide. There's no way to stop it, neither with retaining walls or anything. This is nature progressing towards a larger disaster. Officials released a statement, quote, "The landslide is fully active and the situation is critical." The most shocking news that I heard today is the head of the Civil Protection Department, Musumeci. We have heard from him quite a bit when he had to give us comments about the disaster that's unfolding in Naples in Italy at the Campi Flegrei super volcano. But now he has given a statement and he says the landslide there has surpassed that of Vajont. Guys, if you watch my channel on a regular basis, you know about the Vajont Dam disaster. I've made a video about it. I'll put it in the end screen. This was an unbelievable catastrophe that has buried a whole town without warning, although the mountain did give a warning. This was not a dam collapse that caused this, although it's called the Vajont Dam disaster. But building that dam, that was the disaster, because what happened afterwards, guys, makes me shiver even thinking about this. This is in the end screen, but that they're telling us this is bigger than that makes me shiver even more, guys, because that means, and I'm quoting Musumeci here, he says, right now, we're talking about a landslide of approximately 350 million cubic meters, guys. This is more than Blatten, just to give you a comparison. Also, I'll put some Blatten videos in the end screen. Blatten in Switzerland last year. And he gives the comparison. The Vajont disaster, where a mountain was cracking, breaking off, and as a whole falling into the lake, that was caused by the dam. And that caused a tsunami style overflow that was going into the valley. Vajont disaster of 1963 moved 263 million cubic meters, and now we already have 350 million cubic meters, and more is to come. So much more. Musumeci, head of Civil Protection Department, and he says, we don't know how much further the landslide will actually extend. The technicians have suggested another 500 feet. So now, just with that, the Niscemi risk area extends to 25 square kilometers. Guys, let that sink in. 25 square kilometers. This is crazy. We're not talking about a row of houses collapsing, which is bad enough stuff that's happening in California, or we just saw a secret nuclear bunker collapsing into the sea in the UK. Videos in the end screen, or check my channel start page for that. And guys, since we're speaking about this, do me a favor, give this video right now an early like and hype, and share it wherever you can to help my channel out. Doesn't cost you anything. I'd be grateful for that. So thank you. So 25 square kilometers. And he keeps saying right now, we're talking about a landslide of 350 million cubic meters. And so he says, for comparison, Vajont slide disaster 1963, 263 million. So technically, he says, we're talking about almost 1.5 times the amount of mountain, land, and landslide that fell right now compared to the Vajont disaster. And if you know about the Vajont disaster, again, this is unbelievable. And if you see the aerial images of what's happening around that landslide in Niscemi right now, don't only look at that big beige cliff. Look down there. Do you see the cracks? Do you see how brittle this is? It extends much further, but the worst is, of course, on top where the city is. So they say the red zone, hundreds of homes will be affected in the red zone right now. These homes will most likely no longer be inhabitable. So we're talking about roughly 150 meters inland inside the town right now, and 400 meters wide. So again, this is just the current red zone. This will probably further expand. So people already know in the 10th row that they will lose their homes. And they're telling us, this was my home. This was what my family built. This was everything. This was all we had. This is my everything, my home. It's crucial, it's cruel, and it's heartbreaking. There's a lot of older people that have to live through this. So Civil Protection Minister Nello Musumeci has announced that he has formed a team of experts to assess the phenomenon. And you see, they're inside the city, they're drilling these test holes because we're dealing with what this is. They built this town that they have never should have built. This town, they call it, is a geological trap. It's a time bomb. But this is kind of crazy. The top layer is like rocks, gave you a false sense of security. Oh, we can build there. This is good. Build a foundation there. But underneath the rocks is this tricky geological trap, that layer of sand and clay that soaks with water intake and then gets slippery into this rotational curved landslide that pulls the town on a curved slope down into the abyss. And with that heavy rainfall from Storm Harry, it has accelerated. We had more rainfall right now, but this is unstoppable. Harry hasn't started this. It's already been there from the moment they started to build that town. So experts are assessing the phenomenon, and he says in particular whether the landslide front could retreat toward the town center over time, and they have confirmed it's creeping towards the town center. And he says, as always, there will be a suspension of taxes, mortgage payments, and all other obligations for Niscemi residents that are affected by what happened. This is great. Italian government, thumbs up how quickly this has happened compared with Iceland, took a little longer for Grindavik. They still helped, did a great job, but it took longer. So he further says, I believe some measures have already been signed, others require legislative approval, and we will address them in the Council of Ministers. So he has also announced that he will propose, and here this is interesting, because I just said this was known from the moment they built it, geological trap. He said, administrative investigation to the Council of Ministers to assess why no action was taken after the 1997 landslide in Niscemi. I said it in my previous videos. I investigated that. I looked at archives. There have been several landslides, and 1997 was especially obvious. So there's maps. You see the yellow line where there was the 1997 landslide, and the red line is now where it has started and progressed and is further progressing. So, and they kept building. They kept building. So that is an investigation that I think makes a lot of sense. And Italy intends also to request assistance from the European Solidarity Fund for that region, Calabria, Sicily, and Sardinia, which was hit by Hurricane Harry so hard. I mean, imagine this. The hurricane hits the coastline, destroys coastal towns, harbors, old buildings, historical buildings, like a tsunami with 30 feet or foot waves and crashing into there. I've reported about that. So the risk area is the thing. They need to protect the population. So they have extended it to approximately now 25 square kilometers. They have also issued a complete ban on construction for this area, which also makes sense, right? What is already clear, and Musumeci has said that in a TV interview, the municipality has underestimated that landslide. That is definitely true. So now they will have an investigation who is responsible. I think that is good. And Musumeci and Siciliano, they also say, when they said it's worse than the Vajont Dam disaster, they also say that town should have never been built. But we want to make sure the houses in Niscemi, they're not illegal. They were permitted. So can people that have homes in the red zone, can they get to the red zone? Yes and no. They have to be escorted by firefighters, so they can't go alone. You see the images. And this landslide issue is a big one in Italy. We have volcanoes, we have earthquakes, but 8 million Italians are at risk from landslides right now and flooding. 9.5% of Italy is at risk or very high risk, especially in the mountain areas, of landslides. I want to read you now the comment of Valentina's. Thank you so much for letting us know. I was really grateful for that comment, and thank you for doing this. So Valentina's wrote, thank you so much for this coverage, Silky. I'm Sicilian from Palermo, the capital. Thank you for the accurate information. Thank you for bringing this nightmare all over the world. We know that outside of Italy, everybody loves our wonderful Sicily. Yes, we do. And fortunately, it's a huge island, and we will find some good place to build new houses for people of Niscemi. That is hopeful. I'm very happy to hear that there's enough area to relocate probably the whole town. I think that's the end game here. So further, and thanks to all the people who commented under your videos, sending us prayers and love from everywhere. You don't know how much we appreciate all this in a tragic moment like this. Really, thank you from the bottom of my and our heart. Sending so much love to Sicily, to Italy right now, to Italy as a whole. I mean, we know Campi Flegrei, the people of Pozzuoli and Sicily, and many other affected areas. Really, our hearts go out, and you guys are strong, you are resilient. Italian culture and Italian mentality, you'll get through this. I know if one country can, you guys can. I know that. I've been in Italy so often, and I really love it dearly. And I love Sicily. It's such a beautiful area. And what can I say? It breaks my heart, because Italy, for me, it's beautiful in the present, but also the history, right? I have studied Latin for over 15 years. I've taught Latin while I've been studying other subjects, but Latin has always been in my heart, so I've always been with it. Of course, I needed it for my studies as well, but looking at the history and actually being able to go to Italy and read Latin on the buildings and on the old historical structures, it's amazing. And I cherish this a lot. So thank you for that comment. Let us know how the situation is. Looking forward to hear from you again, Valentinas. So in short, and especially right now, the absolute latest that we have is, of course, situation is critical. Landslide is active. Officials say the red zone that they have declared is advancing towards the town center. This was just an Italian television where I have seen it. We don't have major collapses that happened overnight, so the homes are still hanging over the cliffs. But what residents are hearing, and that must be frightening, is noises, and booms. It's cracking. There's pipes cracking, there's concrete cracking, there's homes cracking in the middle. Rain overnight, continued small failures along the moving front. You see clays coming down, stuff is falling down. Evacuations, about over 500 families so far, over 1,500 people. We have the investigations. We do have great institutional response. And Italian media says investigation for disastro colposo. So negligent disaster. Negligence, right? They should have known. And they're monitoring it. They have installed monitoring equipment, oversight. And interesting, we have also reports about a dispute or defense from the mayor about a prior mitigation or monitoring timelines and funding phases of that. So we are dealing with like a 5 kilometer, like 3 mile long cliff there. I mean, some people say, oh, isn't this like a cliff on the coastline? Was that always there? No, it wasn't. Especially if you see the aerial images, how it's cracked in the areas that fell down. We do have already significant structural damage. I will keep you updated about this. If you want to learn more about Niscemi, I have started a playlist. I'll put the playlist here. There's everything you need to know. Check out the bunker in the UK, or check out my start page. Please subscribe if you're new here. Join us for all the information. I am on the pulse for you guys. Thank you so much. Stay safe, and hello to all our friends in Italy. We're with you. Bye-bye.